All right, so this video is about solving linear inequalities. And the direction for this problem says solve the linear inequality given here. And you're going to graph it, and you're going to write the interval notation. So let's first solve it. So while I was solving it, I will get the variable on the left side by subtracting 5x. That gives you negative 3x plus 10 is greater than negative 8. From there, I could subtract 10 from both sides. So subtract 10 and subtract 10. So give you negative 3x is greater than negative 18. Negative 18. So to finish this, I'll take negative 3x, which is greater than negative 18, and divide both sides of the equation by negative 3. By doing that, I get x. When you divide by negative, this inequality symbol changes from greater than to less than. And negative 18 divided by negative 3 is positive 6. So I've solved the inequality. If x is less than positive 6. To graph it, I'll draw a number line, plot the number 6, probably here. It says less than with no or equal to bar. So less than means you have an open circle, and I'll shade to the left. So that would be the inequality symbol. That would be the graph of that inequality. The last part says write the interval notation. Interval notation for this, because it goes to the left, it begins at negative infinity, and it stops at the number 6 with a soft bracket on 6 or parenthesis, because it can't actually equal to 6. And that's how we solve that inequality. I'll pause the video, copy that as a note, and we're going to give you another example. All right, so we have a new inequality. We're going to solve this one. I would first isolate the m that's already on the left side by taking the 5 and subtracting it over. That'll give you negative 9m is greater than or equal to negative 36. To finish solving this, I divide both sides by the negative 9 that's in front of the m. So divide both sides by negative 9, leave with m is less than or equal to negative 4. So let's graph it. Here's my number line. Here's negative 4. It says less than or equal to. That tells you it should be a closed dot on the negative 4. And it'll be less than, you can shade it to the left. So this would be the graph for it. The interval notation for it, because it starts on the left, would be negative infinity to negative 4. But because this is a closed dot, it gets a hard bracket. So that closed dot means it gets a hard bracket. All right, let's try another one. All right, it says solve this inequality. In solving this inequality, before I begin isolating the variable, you should recognize you have to distribute the 8 and the 3 into parentheses. So that should give you 16 subtract 8x is greater than or equal to 30 plus 6x. Now, in order to get the x alone, I'll move them all to the left side. So I'll subtract 6x from both sides first, leaving me with 16, subtract 14x is greater than or equal to 30. So we're almost finished. To isolate the x, we still need to move the 14. So I'm going to subtract the 16 from both sides. I'll put the answer here. Subtract the 16, these cancel, leaving with negative 14x on the left is greater than or equal to 14. So if I was going to finish solving that equation, you probably recognize I should divide both sides of the equation by negative 14. So I'm going to rewrite it. I'll divide this side by negative 14 and this side by negative 14. And when you do that, see these cancel, you will just x. And you divide by negative, you should remember the sign has to be flipped, has to be changed directions. So equals to negative 1. So my graph should be this. It is inequality is a graph that starts at negative 1. Oh, that's not a 1. Negative 1. There's a closed circle on negative 1. Because it says or equal to. And I'll shade this also to the left. So that interval notation would be from negative infinity to negative 1 with a hard bracket on negative 1 because negative 1 has a closed circle or an or equal to bar here. Both of those tell you it's a hard bracket. All right, let's try another. I'll get that as a note because I'm about to change the screen. All right, so this is the last one. Pause the video. You try it on your own first. Actually, pause the video and see if you can solve it without me. All right, so if you pause it, let's do it. So you should have subtracted 6 from both sides to begin with to isolate the 4m. And you get 4m is greater than or equal to 4. So to finish solving this, I'll rewrite this again. I'm going to divide both sides by 4. Line these to cancel, leaving with just m is greater than or equal to 1. So that graph would look like this. Here's my number 1. It says greater than or equal to, so it's a closed dot. I should shade to the right. So that will be m is greater than or equal to 1. The inequality would be, the interval notation would be, hard bracket on 1, and this time it goes to positive infinity on the right side. So there's it. That's all I have. So good luck.